Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, we wanna talk about the trigonometric circle. Of course, you should have watched the previous videos to understand this one. In this video, we'll express angles in terms of radians. We wanna find out which quadrant each angle falls into. And we know that this point is 0, this point is pi over 2, and here is pi, here is 3 pi over 2, and here is 2 pi. Also, the theta we're discussing is an angle between 0 and pi over 2. So theta is in the first quadrant, and we have sine theta is positive, cosine theta is positive, tangent theta is positive, and also cotangent theta is positive. Of course, we will only examine sine, cosine, tangent, and cotangent. We won't cover secant and cosecant. Also, remember that in terms of sine, wherever tangent is positive, cotangent is also positive. And wherever tangent is negative, cotangent is also negative. In fact, tangent and cotangent always have the same sign. Now we wanna examine pi minus theta. If theta is an angle between 0 and pi over 2, then pi minus theta falls in the second quadrant. Pi minus theta, second quadrant. So we have sine of pi minus theta is equal positive sine of theta, because pi minus theta falls in the second quadrant and sine is positive in second quadrant, and cosine of pi minus theta is negative cosine theta, because in second quadrant cosine is negative. So tangent pi minus theta is equal sine of pi minus theta over cosine pi minus theta is equal positive sine divided by negative cosine is equal minus tangent theta, and cotangent pi minus theta is equal cosine of pi minus theta divided by sine pi minus theta is equal minus cosine divided by plus sine theta is equal minus cotangent theta. For example, sine of pi over 6 is equal to sine of pi minus pi over 6 is equal sine 5 pi over 6 and is equal 1 over 2. Let me explain it on unit circle. Look at here. This angle is pi over 6, and here is sine of pi over 6 is equal 1 over 2, and here is pi minus pi over 6, because this angle is pi over 6. So pi minus pi over 6 is here. So the sine of pi minus pi over 6 is equal 1 over 2. So the sine of pi over 6 and the sine of pi minus pi over 6 is the same. And cosine of pi over 6 is here, is equal the square root of 3 over 2. And cosine of pi minus pi over 6 is here, is equal minus the square root of 3 over 2. Because this line is cosine axis. So cosine pi minus theta is equal minus cosine theta. Or in degrees, sine of 180 degrees minus 30 degrees is equal sine of 30 degrees is equal 1 over 2. Now let's move on. Pi plus theta. Here is the pi. So pi plus theta falls in the third quadrant, like here. Pi plus theta. So we have sine of pi plus theta is equal minus sine of theta, because in third quadrant the sine of sine is negative, and cosine of pi plus theta is equal minus cosine of theta, and tangent of pi plus theta is equal minus sine of theta divided by minus cosine of theta is equal positive tangent of theta. And cotangent pi plus theta is equal minus cosine of theta divided by minus sine of theta is equal plus cotangent of theta. Now look at this. In third quadrant, the sine of sine is negative, the sine of cosine is negative, and the sine of tangent and cotangent is positive. For example, we want to know what is sine of 210 degrees. It is sine of 180 degrees plus 30 degrees is equal, according to this formula, is minus sine of 30 degrees minus sine of 30 degrees is equal minus 1 over 2, or cosine of 210 degrees is equal cosine of 180 degrees plus 30 degrees is equal minus cosine of 30 degrees is equal minus the square root of 3 over 2. And finally, tangent of 210 degrees is equal tangent of 180 degrees plus 30 degrees is equal, according to this formula, is equal plus tangent of 30 degrees is equal plus the square root of 3 over 3. We will examine other angles in the next video. See you soon.